Meghan King, a familiar face from her time on Real Housewives of Orange County, has found herself in the midst of a highly emotional and publicized custody dispute with her former spouse, retired professional baseball player Jim Edmonds. The situation escalated dramatically when Meghan temporarily lost custody of their 3 shared children, their 8-year-old daughter Aspen and their 7-year-old twin sons Hart and Hayes. This development came as a direct result of an investigation initiated by Child Protective Services, triggered by a report from a school employee rather than from Jim or his current family. Currently, Jim holds sole physical custody of the children, while Meghan is restricted to supervised visitation rights only. This arrangement is set to be reviewed in an upcoming court hearing in December, where a judge will decide whether to make these changes permanent or restore Meghan's previous custodial rights. The roots of this latest chapter trace back to a heated incident that occurred earlier in the year at the Missouri home where Jim lives with his wife Courtney. On that day in May, Meghan arrived to drop off some clothing items for Aspen, specifically a dress. What should have been a simple exchange quickly turned contentious. According to reports from the scene, Courtney answered the door and there was an immediate disagreement about how the items should be handed over. Meghan reportedly did not want to simply leave the dress on the doorstep and insisted on speaking with her daughter, who was not present at the time. Tensions rose as voices were raised, and there were allegations that Meghan entered the home uninvited, called out for Aspen, and even placed her foot in the door to prevent it from closing completely. Courtney felt threatened enough by the situation to call the police, describing the encounter as disruptive and harassing. When officers arrived, they spoke with both parties, and although no immediate arrests were made, the incident led to further legal actions. In the aftermath, Courtney initially hesitated but later expressed a desire to pursue harassment charges against Meghan. This resulted in a consent order being issued by the court in June, which imposed specific restrictions to prevent future conflicts. Meghan was required to maintain a distance of at least 150 feet from Courtney during any events or activities involving the children, and she was prohibited from mentioning Courtney on social media or in any public forum. Despite these measures, the charges were eventually refused by prosecutors in August and the case was reclassified as inactive. However, Courtney proceeded to file for a restraining order against Meghan, adding another layer of legal complexity to their already strained co-parenting relationship. This series of events appears to have contributed significantly to the Child Protective Services involvement, culminating in the temporary shift in custody. Meghan's side of the story paints a very different picture of the events. Representatives for Meghan have strongly denied that she ever fully entered the home without permission. Instead, they claim she only briefly stood in the doorway, called out softly for her daughter in a non-confrontational manner, and then calmly placed the belongings on the porch after the door was abruptly slammed in her face. They emphasize that Meghan left the property peacefully and without further incident. Furthermore, those close to Meghan assert that she has historically shouldered the majority of the parenting responsibilities, often acting as the primary caregiver even during difficult periods. They portray her as someone who has frequently found herself on the receiving end of unfair treatment in interactions with Jim and his household, suggesting that the narrative has been skewed against her. The history between Meghan and Jim is one marked by passion, public scrutiny, and eventual bitterness. The couple first crossed paths and fell in love, leading to a wedding in 2014 that was celebrated with much fanfare. Meghan, already gaining fame through her reality television appearances, brought a vibrant energy to the relationship, while Jim, coming off a successful career in Major League Baseball, offered stability and recognition from the sports world. Their family grew quickly with the arrival of Aspen and then the twins, creating what appeared on the surface to be a picture-perfect blended family, considering Jim's children from previous relationships. However, cracks began to show, and in 2019, Meghan filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences amid rumors and allegations of infidelity on Jim's part. The divorce proceedings dragged on for 2 years, finalizing in 2021, and since then the former spouses have engaged in numerous public disagreements over parenting decisions, financial matters, and personal conduct. One particularly sensitive point of contention has been the health and development of their son Hart. Meghan has been vocal about her belief that Hart has been diagnosed with cerebral palsy, a condition that affects movement and muscle tone, often resulting from brain damage around the time of birth. She has shared updates about his therapies and progress, aiming to raise awareness and seek support. Jim, however, has pushed back against this label, acknowledging that Hart does have periventricular leukomalacia, a form of brain injury that can lead to similar challenges, but stopping short of confirming cerebral palsy. This discrepancy has led to accusations from both sides about misrepresenting facts or using the child's condition for personal gain in their ongoing battles. It highlights the deeper trust issues that persist, making neutral co-parenting extremely difficult.